Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Beyond the Noise. I'm Alex Fletcher. And in today's installment, we're going to talk a little bit about the growing nexus between traditional sports and esports, specifically the growing number of traditional sports teams, professional sports teams, who are purchasing or considering purchasing an esports organization or club. And the impetus for this topic is the recent article in Ad Age about how the Dallas Cowboys are considering buying an esports team. So George Slefo published this earlier this week. I believe it was, this was last week on Friday, about how the Dallas Cowboys, for those who aren't familiar, they are the most popular team in the National Football League, which is the United States of America's number one sport. And they also happen to be the I think they are the most valuable sports franchise across the entire world. And so it's no small news, obviously, that an organization of this caliber and with this amount of success is taking esports seriously. Obviously, it's great news. I think it's exciting. It's a good thing. But there were some things that stood out in the article that kind of raised some not red flags but yellow flags. And I'm gonna read it here. And I quote, and this is Matt O'Neill. This is Senior VP of Brand Marketing for the Dallas Cowboys. And I quote, "When it comes to something like esports, it makes so much sense for us because we're such a sales-driven organization. If we thought we could buy a team for, give me a number, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million or whatever, but get 7 million in sponsorship deals over the next couple years, it becomes a no-brainer. Whether or not esports thrives long-term, if we felt we could make that money today, then let's go." Unquote. So a couple of things there. Obviously, this gives us some insight into the Dallas Cowboys organizational culture. Every team, every company, every enterprise has their own approach to their day-to-day business, and it clearly has worked for the Dallas Cowboys. There's no disputing that. They have experienced a tremendous amount of success on the football field, but also from a business perspective. But that last angle there, whether or not esports thrives long term, if we felt we could make that money today, then let's go. From my perspective, the best bet for organizations or sports organizations buying an esports team or making an esports play or an investment is to take advantage of the fact that you're at the forefront of something that's fast growing, but you also have a chance to help build or establish some key building blocks that will be a part of what we know to be as competitive gaming over the next decade. And so to brush off the prospects of esports surviving and boil it down to dollars and cents, I know that esports isn't quite there yet. If you look at how traditional sports teams are bought and sold, they've become very real investable assets. And it didn't always used to be that way. They were more like collectibles. 20 years ago, it was basically people with a substantial amount of money, but not as much as it takes nowadays, buying these organizations, these teams, because they were fans, they were passionate, and it's something that they wanted to do. Now, with the influx of TV and media rights deals, these are real businesses. Esports teams haven't reached that level yet. So it's not really prudent to boil down an investment in a space like esports in 2017 down to the whatever happens to this doesn't matter, because if we feel like we can make that money, then let's go. And if that's their approach, so be it. But really, that's a really horrible way to justify the tremendous amount of risk that these sports teams are actually taking on when they buy into esports. And I wrote an article about this. I'll link to it in the description. But the reality is that there just aren't any insurances. Like when you buy into the NFL, you are buying, it's basically a fail-safe investment, right? The whole league is structured to make sure that owners don't fail. Like if you can buy your way in there, you're going to make money. Even if you're the most haphazard owner, you could buy a team, run it, sloppily for 5 years, and then turn around and sell it. And because of the lack of excuse me the demand for these teams, you can sell it at a profit. Esports has none of those protections. It's the exact opposite. It's essentially like, hey, investing in any, I don't want to use the word startup, but any small company. You are buying a relationship with the people. You're investing not only in the playing talent for these esports organizations, but more specifically the people, the management, and the staff. And that's the leading value generator right now. It's not that you're going to be able to turn over things for $7 million in sponsorship deals, because those numbers really haven't been established. Like the teams haven't been buying esports clubs for long enough for us to say, yeah, this is about how much you're going to make from them, or this is the churn, or this is how much you're going to have to invest, this is how much you're going to see back, this is the trajectory for growth, revenue growth as a result of a purchase like that. And so to make or attempt to make numeric projections is faulty, and it looks like the Cowboys they've tapped Epsilon, which is a marketing services firm, and it seems like from the article that they've developed some sort of model of highly engaged players and enthusiasts. So basically, they've profiled the entire esports audience, and then they've used Amazon data to identify which brands map to those members of the group. Basically, they're trying to understand who's who in esports and what they'll buy, which is all good, but that angle isn't and can't be the impetus for buying an esports team at this point in time, because there are just far too many question marks and unknowns associated with the actual integration of that team. You can't reach past the acquisition of a team, of a culture, of an esports organization, and say, yeah, whatever, guys, we only need you to get this audience anyway. If we could get to the audience ourselves, we wouldn't even need you. But since we need you, here's your money. Now let's turn this around to our sponsors. It just doesn't work that way. It's not a dollars and cents deal. It's a strategic partnership. It has to be a strategic partnership to justify the risk. And on a parallel note, I also read the Sport Techie interview with Team Liquid co-CEO Victor Goossens, talking about the new ownership group Axiomatic, which bought a controlling share in Team Liquid late last year. And you can see how Goossens' description of their relationship with Axiomatic and their approach to their day-to-day is a lot more strategic, is actually all about the strategic interplay between these two organizations, where Team Liquid and Ted Leonsis, who's the CEO and owner of Monumental Sports and Entertainment, have, they're begun to merge the competencies of these two groups. And that's really what you're buying in esports today when you buy a team. You're not buying fans. You're not buying player contracts. You really are buying a relationship with the management and the staff, and investing in them and empowering them, adding resources, adding your experience in the traditional sports and entertainment world, or anywhere else that you as a member of a traditional sports organization might have, to the mix. And so that's where the value is going to emanate. It's not going to be about reaching past those people to try to turn around sponsorships. It's about helping them take what they've already built. And by they, I mean the esports organization, to a certain point, but getting it to that next level, and then everything from there will just grow organically. And that really, to me, has to be the default approach. I don't think you can really come into the space from outside of esports and boil it down to simple analytics or simple marketing strategies just yet. I think it takes give and take from both sides. I think you do have to care about the future of esports if you're buying into a team today. You have to want to be a part of this growing convergence, the early stages of a growing convergence of sport and digital sport. That has to be of value to you to justify the numerous risks, but also to really guide your approach to doing something that hasn't been done before, because there's no blueprint for this. There's no operating model. There are no books that you can read. It's really going to come down to how much you value that process of figuring it out. And maybe the Dallas Cowboys, obviously in an interview, you're not going to have time to reveal everything. Hopefully, teams realize that. Teams like the Cowboys realize that it's more than just reaching an audience and matching brands or partners with a fan base or an audience, but it's about driving an integration between these two worlds and understanding that from there, the rest will happen. So that's all I had this week. I will circle back again. Thank you for joining me. And once again, check out the article in the description section, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions or comments. Thanks. Bye.